Among the dark canals of Xochimilco in Mexico, there is a place that few dare to visit. The island of dolls seems out of a nightmare, with hundreds of dolls hanging from trees, watching in silence. Empty eyes, mutilated bodies, and broken faces create a disturbing scenario. What began as a gesture of protection has become one of the most macabre stories in Latin America. The origin of the island goes back to the solitary life of Don Julián Santana Barrera. After finding the body of a drowned girl in the canals, he believed that her spirit haunted the place. To please her and ward off evil forces, Don Julián began to hang dolls found in the trash. Over time, the place became an altar of fear, devotion, and silent madness. The dolls were not restored or cared for. They remained broken, dirty, and corroded by time. Many lost arms, legs, and eyes, creating an atmosphere of extreme abandonment. Visitors say they feel that the dolls follow their movements with their eyes. The silence of the island is broken only by the wind and the creaking dolls slowly swaying. Don Julián lived in isolation for decades, claiming to hear voices, footsteps, and whispers coming from the dolls. He believed that each one had its own energy. The more dolls appeared, the more intense his obsession became. Locals said the island was cursed, but no one approached to dispute it. Fear grew with the number of dolls hanging. The end of Don Julián was as strange as his life. He was found dead in the same place where he said the girl had drowned. Many believe that the spirit finally took him. After his death, the island was not abandoned. On the contrary, visitors began to take even more dolls, believing that the site requires offerings to maintain the supernatural balance. Visitors report strange phenomena when stepping on the island. Some say they hear childish laughter. Others swear that the dolls blink or change their position. Photographs taken at the site often feature unexplained shadows. The heavy environment causes discomfort, nausea, and a constant feeling of being observed, as if the island reacts to the presence of strangers. Over time, the island of dolls became a tourist attraction. Boatmen drive curious through the canals, warning about respect for the place. Despite the tourist tone, the fear is real. Many visitors take dolls as an offering, believing that leaving without leaving anything can attract bad luck. Superstition grows, along with the island's dark fame. Some researchers question the story of the drowned girl. There are no official records of the case, which raises doubts about the origin of Don Julián's obsession. For skeptics, everything would be the result of extreme isolation and mental deterioration. Still, the coincidence of his death at the same point strengthens the supernatural aura that surrounds the island. The oldest dolls are covered with insects, webs, and moss. Their cracked faces reflect the advance of time and decomposition. Each one seems to carry a story of its own, amplifying the feeling of abandonment. The setting causes intense psychological discomfort, making it difficult to distinguish where macabre art ends and where genuine terror begins. For residents of the region, the island is a place of charged energy. Some avoid spending the night on nearby canals. Stories of failing boats, uncontrollable spinning compasses, and sudden temperature drops are common. True or not, these narratives keep alive the island's reputation as one of Mexico's scariest places. Reports say that some dolls seem to whisper when the wind passes through the trees. More sensitive visitors say they hear their names being called in a low voice. Although there is no scientific evidence, the repetition of these experiments creates a disturbing pattern. The mind tries to explain, but the environment contributes to a constant sense of invisible threat. The island has no electricity or common infrastructure. Everything seems to be stopped in time. This isolation reinforces the climate of abandonment and fear. No urban noise, any sound becomes amplified. Breaking branches, moving water, and crinkling dolls create a disturbing soundtrack. Many visitors report immediate regret when stepping on the site. Over the years, Dolls Island has gained international fame. Television shows and documentaries have helped spread its story. However, the exhibition brought unprepared curious. Some disrespect space, damaging dolls. This has led to the belief that the island punishes those who show no respect, further reinforcing its dark character. Psychologists say that the terror of the island is born from the combination between children's objects and extreme decadence. Dolls symbolize innocence, but there they represent abandonment and death. The contrast causes deep discomfort. The brain associates the scenario with danger, activating intense fear. Even skeptics report feelings of anguish that are difficult to explain rationally. Despite rational theories, the island remains shrouded in mystery. No one has been able to fully explain the behavior of Don Julián or the phenomena reported. Truth or illusion, the Dolls Island remains a reminder of how human fear can transform an ordinary place into one of the most disturbing scenarios in the world. Some visitors say that certain dolls seem to change their expression according to the angle observed. Smiles arise, eyes seem to accompany movements, and shadows create disturbing illusions. Even knowing that it is the effect of light and mind, discomfort persists. The island turns small details into triggers of constant and silent fear. Local boatmen say they refuse to cross the canals after sunset. They report hearing wood slamming, invisible steps, and distant cries. Stories passed from generation to generation reinforce the fear. For them, the island has a will of its own and reacts when someone remains beyond what is allowed in that dark territory. The dark water surrounding the island contributes to the oppressive atmosphere. Many believe that the canals hold more secrets than they appear. Submerged objects, treacherous currents, and almost no visibility create constant fear. The feeling is that something can emerge at any moment, amplifying the psychological terror of the place. Folklore experts point out that the island has become a symbol of collective fear. The story mixes tragedy, isolation, and obsession, common elements in urban legends. The difference lies in the materialization of terror. The hanging dolls transform the imaginary into something physical, impossible to ignore, making fear palpable. Even with warnings, many visitors say they feel the need to take a doll with them when leaving the island. They believe that leaving an offering guarantees protection. Others say leaving with a sense of emotional weight. The experience does not end when you leave. The island remains in the mind, as if part of it accompanied those who dared to enter. Reports say that some dolls are given names by visitors or residents. Over time, these dolls are treated as individual entities. People claim to feel specific attachment or fear when facing some of them. This emotional bond strengthens the legend, transforming abandoned objects into symbolic presences that seem to carry their own stories. There are those who claim that the girl's spirit is not the only one inhabiting the island. Some theories suggest that dolls function as spiritual receptacles. Each new offering would bring with it unknown energies. This idea amplifies the fear because it transforms the island into a space that accumulates invisible presences nourished by human belief. During certain times of the year, visitors report an increase in strange phenomena. Sounds become more intense and the environment seems heavier. Some attribute this to dates linked to death and Mexican folklore. Truth or collective suggestion, these dates reinforce the ritualistic climate, making the island an even more disturbing scenario. Even experienced researchers admit discomfort when staying long periods on the island. Repetition of visual stimuli causes mental wear and tear. Hundreds of fixed eyes create a constant sense of vigilance. The brain goes into prolonged alertness. This psychological effect explains why many visitors leave the site earlier than planned. Doll Island does not depend on sudden fright. Its terror is slow and growing. At each step, the visitor absorbs abandonment, history, and oppressive silence. There are no visible monsters, just the feeling that something went wrong in that place. A fear that settles without warning and remains after the game. Over time, the island ceased to be just an isolated place and became a reflection of human fear. The accumulated dolls show how belief can shape physical spaces. Each visitor adds something to the narrative, strengthening the myth. The island grows not in size, but in dark and psychological significance. Some say that spending too much time watching the dolls causes a sense of disorientation. The look is lost between similar faces, creating mental confusion. Psychologists call this visual saturation effect. Even so, many report deeper feelings, such as sudden sadness or fear without apparent cause, difficult to ignore. Despite the fame, the island remains without constant surveillance. The simple access contrasts with the intensity of the place. This increases the feeling of danger and abandonment. There are no barriers between the visitor and the macabre story. Each person who arrives becomes part of the scene, walking among dolls that seem silent witnesses. Some claim that the true terror of the island lies in what it represents. A lonely man consumed by fear turned trauma into obsession. The dolls are traces of this collapsing mind. The site reveals how human psychology can create lasting horrors, even without proven supernatural forces. The Island of Dolls remains as one of the most frightening places in the world, not because of attacks or deaths, but for the atmosphere that surrounds those who visit it. Between legend and reality, it proves that fear does not need movement. Just silence, history, and hundreds of empty eyes watching each step through the dark channels.